Hey, it's Greg here with Outdoors on the Cheap, and I've decided in this video I'm going to show you how I get my Honda Ruckus scooter off the rack that I attached to the back of my car. Great thing about a scooter is that you don't need a trailer, you don't need a pickup truck, you don't need any special stuff. You need a 2-inch hitch and a bike trailer that you can attach to your car, and that's all the gear you need. So let's get into how to get this thing on and off. Starting with taking it off, because when I get to the woods, that's the first thing I do. I've got one rope attached, it's just like a backup rope attached using a trucker's hitch to the actual rack, and then I got another one that winches it in tight to the car against the roof racks using a trucker's hitch, and these are just backup ropes. The main thing holding it on is the ratchet straps. These are like the 500-pound, I think 225-pound working strength ratchet straps. I got one that goes around the body of the bike. I got another one attached to the front wheel, and I'll explain that as we go. But you're seeing how quickly it comes off. The one around the front wheel there's a little hook underneath the right-hand side of my car, and I slide that underneath the far right post of the rack and up into the wheel well, the metal part of the wheel. And I do that to take the play out of the bike. Nothing more unnerving than driving with a bike on the back of your car and watching it bounce and move around. So by cranking that nice and tight on the corner, it takes the play out of the rack while you're driving, and it really doesn't move that much. And you can see I've got a bath towel around the steering wheel of the bike. I like to have the bike tipped against the car instead of standing free. These ones, they don't fit properly into the rack anyway, so I lean it against the car tight. And you see how quickly and easy that comes off the rack like that. That's 2 minutes to get it off the car, and you're basically ready to roll, ready to go. So that's one of the great advantages of having a small bike like this. You can put it on behind your car. Another advantage is that if you're leaving your car for a few days, which I tend to do when I go in the woods, I tend to go in the woods overnight for at least a night, sometimes 2 nights. Always a temptation, or you're always concerned if you have a trailer, is the trailer going to be there when I get back? It's an awfully tempting, valuable thing. Great thing about one of these racks is you can just pop out the pin and the hitch clip and throw it in your car. I mean, I got a Subaru Outback, so it's a hatchback. You can put the seats down. I just throw everything in the back of the car and close it down. And anyone walking by or driving by or whatever, I'm just parked by the side of the highway here on a logging road in Crown Land in Nova Scotia, Canada. But yeah, no one would know. It just looks like a car parked on the side of the road with some idiot in the woods fishing or whatever, which is exactly the case. Right? No temptation, no concern, no nothing. When you're all done and you want to load the thing back on the car, it is really easy. It takes a bit more time to load it onto the car than it does to take it off, because it takes about 5 or 6 minutes. Doesn't take that long, but it does take longer because you're going to make sure you got it on right. Okay, but yeah, you just get everything out of the car. This rack probably weighs about 35 pounds, I'd say, something like that. 35, 40 pounds, 30 pounds, something else. It's not heavy. It's awkward, but it's not heavy. You got to have a 2-inch hitch, right? That's why I literally bought this car, Subaru Outback, because it has a 2-inch hitch. I think a Forester has that too. Many SUVs and crossovers have 2-inch hitches, but it won't work with less than that. And if you don't have a 2-inch hitch, it won't carry the weight. I think the bike weighs 200 pounds. This rack is rated up to 500 pounds. But yeah, the bike weighs about 200 pounds. Anyway, you get that in there, and you get the pin in, you get the hitch clip, you get the thing all set up, and then you're ready to go. It can be a bit tedious getting the pin in there, but you just wiggle it around and mess with it, and it's no big deal. Comes with this little detachable ramp. That's what you use to get the bike up on there. And you just position the bike and roll her up. Helps to get a little bit of momentum to get it up there, but it's not hard at all. It's much easier than other ways of getting a secondary vehicle attached to a primary vehicle, let's put it that way. These racks have wells for the wheels to sort of fall into for regular dirt bikes, but I find for the Honda Ruckus, it's just the wheels are too big and fat, so it doesn't really work. It's not really secure in the rack in that sense. So for me, I attach this like a beach towel or anything. I attach something soft around that part of the handlebar so that I can lean it right against the car. The catch with this is that it will not work if you've got your rear wipers going. It'll fetch up onto the handlebars of the bike. So if it's raining, you can't use your rear wipers, but that's not the end of the world. You can just use your mirrors and stuff, right? just go easy and be careful. But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just using a bungee cord to secure that towel around the handlebars of the bike so I can lean it tight against the back of the car instead of having it sitting straight up. It just will not. I'm sure there's some way to mess with it to get it to go that way, but it's actually tighter and has less play leaning against the car like this, and it's not going anywhere because I have a way of securing the wheel in, right? So I ratchet the bike down to the rack, and here on the right hand side there's a hook underneath the car on the right hand side. I attach one of those ratchet straps to the hook, and then I put it around that far post, and then I hook it into the wheel well. Okay, just the steel wheel well of the bike, and then I crank it on, and that takes all the wiggly play out of the rack when you're driving. If you don't do that, if you're looking out your rearview mirror while you're driving, the bike is bouncing all over the place, and it's very unnerving. But if you attach one point on the right or left hand side nice and tight, it just takes all that play out. Now here I'm taking another one of these ratchet straps, and I'm hooking it into the hitch of the car. There's a little hooky thing. I'll show you the stuff up close towards the end of the video, but I'm hooking it into the hitch of the car, and then I'm weaving it through the seat rack. The seat rack's got these sort of heavy pipes. It's kind of hard to see here. I'll show a close-up towards the end. I just weave it through the seat rack, and then underneath the frame of the rack, and then I hook it on one final time onto that seat rack, and then I ratchet it up nice and tight, and that pulls it into the car, tilts it into the car, and it also cranks it down tight against the rack. And then you can see I just give it a little wiggle there to give it a little test. And then for just extra, this is unnecessary, but it's always good to have a plan B and a plan C just in case things go wrong. So using a pony knot, I've got a video on knots, check that out. I do a pony knot on the front roof rack of my car, and then I just loop around the second roof rack of the car to even out the stress. And then I put I'm basically doing a trucker's hitch here. I'm rigging up a trucker's hitch up there, and then I run a line through that seat rack, back through the loop, and then crank her down nice and tight. So that's just an extra precaution. That wouldn't, it just takes more play out of the bike as you're driving. Just gives you that extra, it's unnecessary, but it just gives you that little extra confidence that you've done the extra measure. I don't know, I always do it. It's probably not necessary, but I like to have an extra rope on there just to be safe. But that's all it's required. Showing you in tight here, how I've got this on. You can see how I've got that hook on the wheel well around that post, right? And cranked in tight to that hook on the right hand side of the car. Okay? And then here, right, I've got it down onto the hitch. Right, I'm showing you how I've got it hooked into the hitch there, okay? All right, down into the hitch, around the rack, cranked up nice and tight, right? Around the rack, down, underneath, and hooked back on. That's all that's required. That's how I do it. I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. And until next time, enjoy the outdoors on the cheap. Thanks for watching.